Welcome back to Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Vinny.
I'm Dylan. Today we're going to be talking about the bullish and bearish case against Intel. Vinny is very bullish. I am very bearish. I think they are hot garbage. So hit us in the comments of what you guys think. We're going to go over this.
I love it. If you guys enjoy this kind of entertaining stock market content, please give us a like and subscribe below. We enjoy having you. Dylan and I are just like two normal guys kind of investing out there and figuring out our own way. And this channel is documenting our progress. Okay. So Intel, old Team Blue. Hey, Dylan, do you see this stuff in the background here? What is that?
That's the stuff that Intel burns every research and development quarter.
Yeah, I don't know about that. They make a whole lot of it, a whole lot of cash.
You weren't ready for that response.
Yeah. I stole this quote right here from the Morningstar report about Intel. Basically, they've had some missteps of late, but they're in such a dominant position that at the end of the day, they're going to have a manufacturing advantage over nearly every other chip maker. That's a pretty bold statement. It
is. So. Yeah, no, they're definitely like the Chicago Bulls in 1999.
1999. Ooh, I was going to go say the 1993.
No, they were the Chicago Bulls. Now it's too late. Now their time is over.
I don't know. So this is a pretty chart right here, Dylan. Nice, consistent growth. It's so pretty. They're just generating more and more income because they sell their products. They may be an inferior product, but they sell them.
The first step to acknowledgement is acknowledging that they're inferior. So that's step one.
Hey, it's okay. I'm not in this business to back the best computer chip out there. I'm in this business to make money from their company. We all know Coca-Cola is a better drink than Pepsi, but you know what? Pepsi still makes plenty of money, okay?
Fair enough.
Yeah. And this is the other important thing. Intel for years has shown that they can consistently take that money coming in the front door and keep it within the building and use it to reward shareholders. AMD for up until last year kind of just went, whoof, where did it all go?
Up until last year, you mean 2017. Also, I'm not saying I'm pro AMD. I'm just against Intel.
Yeah.
I'm definitely pro AMD though.
Yeah. And Intel gets it. Like, look what they've been doing with this money that's been coming in the door. They've been buying back shares. That is, as someone that likes to think of themselves as a value investor and likes to look at the company and what it does with the money it generates, this is a beautiful chart right here. Just consistently just chewing up shares. This is just your ownership of Intel going up year after year for you doing nothing.
Except the price doesn't go up. That's important.
Eventually it will.
You would hope.
Yeah, you get to that point where I want to be that last guy with that one share and own all of Intel. It'd be perfect.
It could be.
Yeah, it could happen someday. And in complete and utter comparison here's AMD. Man, I agree. When it comes to CPUs right now in the market, they're making some of the best kind of home gamer processors. But oh man, they're just destroying shareholder value. Just paying anyone. The people that take out the trash at night are getting stock comp at this point. I think I'm pretty sure that's not good.
All right. That's a solid burn. Okay.
Yeah. So cash flow. This is what investing in business is all about to me, is cash flow. And this is the last 3 years of Intel's kind of cash flow here. So you look at the operating income, and then I add back in some non-cash charges. Unlike other people, I did not add back in we call it stock-based compensation. I personally think that is an expense. Okay, so my cash flow from operations number is going to be a little bit different from what you're going to find on the internet there. They're relatively reasonable. Their stock-based compensation was $2 billion or less per year, but still it matters to me. So this is what they end up in their checking account at the end of the month, right? Or at the end of the month before they pay their bills. Now they got to pay their bills. This is the CapEx. This is how much money they're putting back into the business to continue going forward, right? This is how much they cost to maintain all those lines and foundries and stuff like that. I know AMD doesn't have any of that stuff, but this is what their business costs to operate on a yearly basis, capital expenditures. So this is what we as a shareholder buy, in my opinion, is this free cash flow to equity column right here. That's what it's all about. And you see this number here, $19 billion. That's how much money Intel had last year after it paid all the businesses and kind of made sure all of the equipment was up to date to continue going forward. $19 billion left over.
That is a lot of money.
That's
a lot of cash.
A lot of scratch.
A
Yeah.
lot of cash.
Yeah. Exactly.
I agree with you there.
Yeah. I know it's hard to argue with those kind of numbers, right? So I did a discounted cash flow, and these are my assumptions. I used 6% revenue growth. Now, 6% revenue growth, does that sound like aggressive to you, Dylan?
No.
That's pretty. That's
for
pretty
Intel.
consistent.
It's definitely not aggressive.
No, it's consistent with what they've been doing. It's also consistent with what they anticipate for a compound annual growth rate for semiconductor sector in general. So I'm not saying that Intel is going to, take back all the share that AMD stole. I'm going to say they just maintain what they have right now. They could keep growing it along with the rest of the market. The rising tide raises all boats, right? So 6% revenue, and they're going to continue to be as profitable as they are right now. 21% of your revenue falls down to that free cash flow line, basically. I'm looking for 15% desired annual return, right? 10% is about market. If I can get a little bit above market, it makes it worthwhile for me to take, the hours I spent reading analyst reports and stuff trying to look at this thing, right? So if I get 15%, I'm happy with that. That gives me a $76 per share current price for Intel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty solid, right?
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not terribly unreasonable. If I were to use a 30% margin of safety, I'm getting a per share price of about $53.70. Not far from where Intel is right now. Intel is about $56 a share as of when we were making this video.
And just so everyone knows, can you say what your margin of safety price means?
So margin of safety is saying, I'm making some assumptions here. I'm trying to predict the future. So that margin of safety is just accounting for any math errors. Maybe they don't get 6%. Maybe they get 5.8%. Maybe they have a little bit of margin contraction. Maybe they only get a 20% free cash flow to revenue percentage there. So that's what my margin of safety pricing is. Warren Buffett talks about like 30% to 50%, depending on like the stock. It'd be nice to buy everything half off, but you can't always get that lucky. But yeah, so right here is well within like kind of reasonable. So my thought process is right now is I have enough to buy 100 shares of Intel. Is I'm going to sell a cash secured put at $55 a share. And collect about $1 a share on 1 month out for premium, which would give me an 18% annualized rate of return. And I eventually will achieve this kind of approximately $53 entry point, even if it hits 55 the next month.
Right. Makes sense. Not a bad strategy.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. Oh, Dylan's got some counterpoints here.
Yeah, you're wrong about everything you just said. So you're right. Intel, they have a lot of cash. I'm not saying they don't have a lot of cash. Okay, they have a ton of cash. But your first point, you're in the stock market to make money. You're in the wrong semiconductor stock. Because I don't know what to tell you. Look at the 5-year chart of AMD, NVIDIA, Intel. Okay. There's clearly one loser.
Yes, agreed.
So if you're in it to make money, I don't know why you're in it. You want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, I mean, 5 years is a fair chunk of time, but it's not the end all be all of investing.
How about we do? You want to do 20 years? Because I have the 20-year charts right there.
I believe it. I know.
So, and just be clear, I'm not saying Intel is going to go out of business. They're too big to fail. I'm not at all saying that. I am saying they're the next IBM, where they're there and they don't really move and they just kind of slowly go down. They do share buybacks to keep their price positive, sort of, because they can't go up on their own because no one wants to buy their stock.
Yeah.
So they do share buybacks. But I think there's like 2 charts on the right that I would rather be invested in. I don't know. It seems interesting to me.
I don't know. This rather exuberant market, just parabolic shapes. Yeah, they tend to stay very stable. They're the most stable of shapes. I know that.
Look at Apple. That's pretty parabolic. They're still going up.
True. That Apple is actually a good case. I thought about Apple a lot looking at Intel, because like Apple doesn't make the best computer products, right? Like for a long time, any kind of PC based products outperformed Apple computers, but Apple was still a very profitable company.
I think it's because their user interface is undefeated.
Yes,
it's not so much the power of the actual components. It's the ease of the interface.
Yeah, and their universe, exactly. Yeah, but just want to give you like a scale. I know you got a couple of quotes coming up here, but we'll talk about it in a second. The just how although the stock may reflect these exuberant prices, it's so far disjointed from the underlying business at this point that it's absolutely insane. I didn't look at NVIDIA for this video, but
so we've done a video on this before. I know what you're going to say is the revenue they make. But the problem is a giant doesn't die slow. Okay? It takes a long time. Now, go to the next slide. It's always good news when your CEO leaves and your stock jumps like 7% in a day, because that's what Intel happened.
Yeah, it did.
So this just came out. The Xeon server chip line will go to production in 2022 instead of by the end of the year as promised by the brand new CEO. Started production in 2022 with the ramp up being midway through, meaning it's actually not even going to start till midway through 2022. That's what that means. So below, do you see the white text?
Yes.
Yeah, that's your CEO's excuse.
Hey, you know what? I'd rather the product be right than launched early. You know, what can I say?
Well, that's what they did for the last 3 years, and then it tanked.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know, they're still trying. I know it's unfortunate to watch the company kind of be a laggard there, but you know, the new CEO's been in place for what, 6 months, something like that. It hasn't been that long.
Yeah, he already made his first lie. So I just want to throw this out there. Intel's data center unit recently, and this was in the last earnings call, they had a 99% market share for server chips. Okay, that's the heart of their company, their infrastructure. Those sell for the price of like a small compact car, according to Yahoo Finance.
It's about $8,000.
Yeah, their recent one, they were what? Do you remember those results, Vinny? I mean, I have them right here. I can read them for you.
Oh yeah, nice.
They had a 20% drop.
Agreed. I know. It's not a simple time. There's that's not even the full breadth of the risk factors with them, right? They have the fact that companies like Amazon are bringing in their own chips. There's competition from I'm drawing a blank on the acronym right now. But there are other architectures of chips that are ARM that's going to be coming in and hopefully trying to replace it. But that is a multi-year rollout at best.
I agree. It's speculative. That's fair.
Yeah.
However, using the same products, same architecture, Intel loses 20% of their data center sales, and AMD doubled in the exact same quarter.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to say doubled's like 2% to 4%.
Yeah.
But they went from 99% to I think they're like 88 now. It just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tanking.
It's a small rounding error. A doubling for AMD is a rounding error for Intel. It's still at this point.
No, 99% market share. Now look where they at. Don't worry.
I know. Yeah, all of that was not AMD though. Like I said, there are other companies trying to bring in like their server chips in house. NVIDIA is also trying to move into that market, actually.
Oh, don't worry. That's one of my counterpoints against Intel as well.
Yeah.
Do you what do you think of these numbers? This R&D budget here?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like the fact that Intel is spending, what is that? 6.5 times the amount of money on R&D every year that AMD does.
I see the same numbers. I agree. Yeah. Intel is spending 6.5 times the R&D that AMD is, and yet since 2017, AMD beats them in chip architecture in every single possible way, 4 years in a row. And now, I'll do this after, but how on earth it's like David versus 9 Goliaths and AMD just keeps winning?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, part of the fact that they have such a higher R&D budget is because they also are creating their own fabs in house, right? So they're not just researching the design like AMD does. They have to.
That was new.
Production.
That was new. That was announced in like 2020.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, though.
That they're going to build 3 more fabs?
No. I'm saying just as part of their R&D budget, they regularly have to not only develop an architecture, but develop a actual manufacturing process for the architecture. So
you're right.
Their R&D budget's going to have to be higher than AMD's.
And that's true. And this is a very interesting fact. There is another company who back in the day had a foundry and then lost to a company who didn't have a foundry. And essentially, they just couldn't compete until they had to spin off that foundry into another business. And then they came back to life. Do you know what that company is?
Oh, that'd be AMD.
It is AMD. If anyone didn't know, AMD had a foundry. And then to not go into bankruptcy, they spun it off into Global Foundries. And then they became their own yada, 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 stuff. And look what's happening.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. I know this is what you love, the market share there.
Yep. If you just look at that now, I didn't get the 2021 graph because I wanted just to kind of point how, if you see that one step up, people are going to be like, hey, it's just 2019. And then you go to the graph on the right, 2020, we'll look at that. Now, if anyone wants to pull up the 2021 graph, it's even closer.
Yeah. I believe it. No, I mean, AMD has made legitimate inroads. And if you watch any kind of YouTube computer content, pretty much AMD has been the recommended chip for any computer builds at this point in time.
Actually, if you want to go to my next slide, I think it's the one after this. Dang it. Okay. It was going to say what you just said. But you said this earlier, and that this is not a pro AMD video. This is Intel is not a good investment video. And the reason why this isn't a pro AMD video is because NVIDIA might even beat AMD, who is clearly beating Intel. They are entering the data center CPU and will deliver that crazy, ridiculous statistic.
Yeah, but the problem with ARM, though, is that it's a whole new architecture, so every program would have to be written for ARM. It's possible that it'll make inroads over time, but that is going to take quite a while for that to even potentially begin to occur.
In NVIDIA, I trust.
I agree. It's a scary thought of NVIDIA making a CPU and GPU combination server and being able to sell that out there with the ARM-based processor. But I still don't see that as being a huge market share within the next 5 years, say even. It may be 10 years, but
I don't think it even comes out for like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Then...
So just anyone type into Google, just like Intel versus AMD CPUs. I already actually checked every single option. You're going to be like, oh man, AMD is just way better. And it's just a way better thing. And then in the white, that is the argument that if you outsource its own CPU production, you could actually be more flexible, focus on your design instead of hemorrhage money constantly over and over and over on this foundry business that AMD had done before, and it didn't work.
I know, right? The other interesting point too is actually this outsourcing is apparently Intel is the only producer of chips for the U.S. government though because of the outsourcing, because Taiwan Semiconductor and Samsung are both external entities.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know what the dollar value of that is, but it's an interesting
It is interesting. It is interesting. That's my argument. I think they are a fat and bloated company that has been around too long. You would see the share buybacks and think, man, this stock price must be skyrocketing. Nope, it's the exact same as it was for a very long time now. And on top of that, it's kind of like I'm a big Larry Fitzgerald fan. If for a football fan, anyone who's older, Tom Brady, 45 years old. Eventually, though, they just get too old and they just can't hang.
I completely understand that comparison there, Dylan. But look at these numbers to me. This is insane. Okay, AMD is a $115 billion market cap, right? Intel is twice their price market cap wise, right? Mm-hmm. Look at the difference in revenue, 8 times the revenue. All right.
Yeah.
Look at the difference in operating income. What is that? 15 times the operating income. Look at the difference in cash on hand. 10 times the cash on hand.
Just imagine what would happen when AMD takes an R&D break.
I know, right?
Oh goodness.
The other thing too is kind of discounting the fact that Intel has successfully made some acquisitions over the years, particularly Mobileye is one of them, moving into the autonomous driving kind of pathway. That's something where they would be ahead of AMD. They also made a couple of AI acquisitions. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but Intel does have like a future pathway in industries that are kind of adjacent to the semiconductors.
I'm just imagining like driving down the road and then having my car not start because it's an Intel CPU in the car.
Perfect.
That's all I'm thinking about.
Intel inside on the chip on the hood.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. I'm just imagining like everything they do as just being a lot slower than all the other cars on the road.
I don't know about that. I mean, they're a little slower right now than AMD. It's still very comparable.
It is comparable now. For the last 3 years, not only was AMD significantly better, they're also significantly cheaper.
Yes.
Which is disgusting, which is why you see AMD's margins and costs so low, is because they have been paying essentially like $50 a chip for you to buy their chip. So then you're like, holy crap, this is better than Intel. I'll stick with these guys.
Yeah.
That is why you see that disparity.
I think those days are already over, though. AMD's already been slowly increasing the price of their chips.
It is, and they're also slowly increasing market share, so it worked.
Yeah. They're no longer priced as a kind of entry-level product. They're now going to be neck and neck with the Intel products, so that'll be interesting.
That is not accurate.
Oh, pretty close.
Their top ones are absolutely neck and neck with Intel. The entry level, the AMD quality is still significantly better than Intel and cheaper. When you look at like the Ryzen 3 or something like that.
It's pronounced Ryzen.
Ryzen. As AMD has risen from the ashes.
Oh, I love it. On that happy note, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Throw in the comments what you guys think.
Yeah, exactly.